Welcome, everyone. I am Aldo Gandia. This is the after game show. The Chicago Bears have just finished beating the Buffalo Bills about, an hour ago. And I am solo right now, but I am expecting Tyler Ellis to join me in a little while. And so I'm going to kind of fill in the first 10, 15 minutes without him and talk about this game and also interact with you in the chat area. So if you are there, start chatting away and I will answer any questions, engage with you in whatever is on your mind. This game for me just shows that this team is still far away from being a championship level team. It's still a huge work in progress. There were some really good things. And of course, that throw by Justin Fields was simply unbelievable. We'll get to that in a little while, but let me show you about some of the things that I was concerned about. And again, it's time of possession, 21 minutes for the Chicago Bears, 38 minutes for Tennessee. And indeed, some of that has to do with the dynamics of the game as it goes on. But even in the first half, when it was a close game, 7-7, the Bears didn't have the ball much in the first half. And Justin Fields' opportunity to showcase his skills. So that was very concerning. As you can see, the first downs, only 12 for the Bears, 23 for the Titans. Their ground game was outstanding against the Bears defense. Total yards, as you can see, 252 for the Bears, almost double for Tennessee, 407. The Bears defense did create 2 turnovers. So these numbers to me say that this is a team that needs some cohesion. And, I hear what you're saying. This is the third preseason game, so don't get too alarmed by it. But it does appear to be a trend. This is a lot of what happened last season during the regular season. So we need to correct some things. In the first place, the first area that the Bears need to correct is at the offensive line. We saw even Jason Peters, the future Hall of Famer at left tackle, was having some issues. He needs, during these next 2 weeks, he needs to really get in shape and play to the best of his capabilities, whatever that is, as a 39-year-old. And Matt Nagy in his press conference after the game did say that Justin Peters is going to be the starter at left tackle. So that's where we're at with this team. Ravi is with us. He says he loves Trevis Gibson's pass rush. Yes, Trevis had a really fantastic game. I was excited when the Bears drafted him in 2020, and he didn't see much action last season, but clearly he spent the offseason putting on some strength and power, and now he is dominating the second stringers that he's been facing, and I want to see him go up against first stringers in an NFL game. You are absolutely right. JM NA9357 says Justin Fields is the real deal. Yeah, I agree. There is no doubt about it. Justin Fields is definitely the real deal, but he still needs some grooming. I don't think anybody can dispute that point. But if I had a choice, I'd be starting him week 1 against the Rams, knowing that he's going to make a lot of mistakes, knowing that there are going to be some issues with him as the starting quarterback. But if you also ask me who gives you a better chance to win a football game, I got to believe, especially with the way the offensive line is right now, that Justin Fields probably has the edge over Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton, you can't deny the fact that he's got experience. He's got know-how. He has played on teams with poor offensive lines and still been able to manage a game well. But I'm worried that the offensive line isn't even going to be able to create holes for the running game right now. It's just a mess. And so the best rushing attack this team probably has right now with this offensive line right now is Justin Fields. And so, and with that touchdown pass to Jesper Horsted, you saw what he can do when he is forced on a run. He keeps his eyes downfield. He keeps his eyes on receivers before he decides to tuck it and run. So that's important. 4,000 Clover says, I don't think we should be debating if Fields should start. We should be debating who should be second string, Dalton or Foles. You're absolutely right, 4,000 Clovers. I texted that to my man Danny Aguirre during the game. I said, do you think Justin Fields should move above Andy Dalton in the depth chart? Ravi says, Aldo, is Jimmy Graham potentially on the chopping block? Absolutely not. There's no way that Graham is on the chopping block. If he was on the chopping block, this would be the dumbest one. Another one of the dumbest things that Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy have done from a player personnel standpoint. Listen, there's no doubt in my mind that Jesper Horsted should be on this 53-man roster, and he should get the balls thrown to him because he is a remarkable pass-catching tight end. But you made the decision, you being Ryan Pace, you made the decision to keep Jimmy Graham on the roster with that salary that he has. You've had him in bubble wrap throughout the preseason games, getting ready for the NFL season. So there's a reason why they've done this, and to abandon that because Jesper Horsted had 3 touchdowns, 2 of them against second and third stringers, I don't think that's the way to go. I think Jimmy Graham is a part of the 2021 plans for this team. I think Cole Kmet is going to be a big addition, a big part of this offense in 2021. And I hope that Jesper Horsted is played well on special teams because he should take over for J.P. Holtz, in my opinion. He should definitely take over for J.P. Holtz. So we'll see. Let's see what else we got. Growing pains, just like any other rookie quarterbacks. You're absolutely right. Justin Fields definitely, we have to be in a forgiving mood. And I looked at social media at a lot of the comments about Justin Fields, and I was glad that they were very, very positive still. And I hope that when he goes through adversity, because he is, particularly if he plays this season in his rookie season, he's going to have some really bad moments. And I just want the fans to support him. And I want fans to support Andy Dalton. There's no effing reason. I texted to Dan Aguirre today, what I texted to him was Mitchell Trubisky. No one should boo him because the Bears made him the 2nd overall draft pick, right? And so the same thing, you should not boo Andy Dalton because he came to the Chicago Bears. He signed a contract offer that was offered to him. He's our number 1 quarterback. So let's support the guy and hopefully he comes out. Now, I don't think he's going to play well. I really don't. I think that the way Matt Nagy has handled the quarterback position in preseason and throughout the camp, first of all, it should have been a competition between him and Fields, right? Secondly, I would have preferred that they would have just said, you know what? It's not even a competition. It's Justin Fields, and he's going to get 80% of the snaps with the number 1s, and Dalton is going to be our backup. That's what I would have preferred. But instead, they anointed Dalton the number 1 quarterback, and then they split the number 1 reps with a brand new veteran quarterback to the system and a rookie quarterback. So how can you expect any one of them to be going into week 1 playing at a very high level? To me, it was kind of stupid that the preseason game that is 2 weeks before your regular season, your last preseason game, 2 weeks before the start of the season, your number 1 quarterback is not playing. Did you see what Josh Allen did for the Bills? Now, I know that he didn't play in the first 2 preseason games, but to me, it's part of the momentum of building momentum. If anything, Justin Fields should have played all 4 quarters or 3 quarters in game 2 or game 1 to get the experience that he wanted. If you're really, really committed to having Andy Dalton as your starting quarterback for the 2021 season, he should have played today. But that's not how Matt Nagy saw it. 4,000 Clover says, not sure who announced the game where you guys are at, but where I am at, one of them said Dalton had a good preseason. Yeah, you probably were watching the NFL Network feed, and it looked like they had the Tennessee Titans announcers. And that just goes back to what we like to preach here at the Barroom Network. Nobody knows our Chicago Bears like you guys do, like 4,000 Clovers, like Nick and Ravi, like me and Dan and Danny Shimon and all the other people here at the Barroom. Nobody knows the Bears like we do. We pay so much attention to them. So a lot of times these national guys just don't have a clue as to what's going on. Nick, blockhead Matt Nagy needs to realize the best way to groom Fields is on the field. I'm totally with you. I am totally with you. Now let's. I got a couple of highlights here. Let's see if did I even load them. I did not load them. I'll load them while I continue to talk. Actually, let's do it this way. I've got another way of doing this, but I want to, of course, show the highlight of that Justin Fields touchdown pass. Was just remarkable. Just a thing of effing beauty. Here it is. Justin with the drop, steps up in the pocket. The rush was on him immediately. He could have run with the ball, but instead he just makes a brilliant throw on the run towards his right and off to the off shoulder, right? And Jesper Horsted deserves tons of credit too for that magnificent catch. Just outstanding. That is the highlight of the Bears preseason. It is also one of the NFL preseason highlights for 2021. I think I've got the other angle here. Let me remove that and call up this other file here. No, I don't. I thought I did, but I don't. All right, let's go back to comments and see what you guys are thinking about. Gary Laz says, if Dalton doesn't move the offense against the Rams in the first half, Fields should start the second half in LA. I don't know. I've been debating that. I think that's maybe too short of a leash. I think that Justin Fields should have like about a half dozen plays where he comes in to do some stuff. I think that should be part of the offensive arsenal against the Rams. Really kind of keep them off balance by bringing in Fields for a couple of plays in the first half and 3 or 4 in the second half. He's a significant weapon. Let's use him. But I kind of hate to put Andy Dalton in a situation where you're just giving him a half to prove himself. That just doesn't seem right. This whole thing is so effed up, man. Steven says, I don't get Nagy's admiration for Dalton. Yeah, I think you're right. A lot of people don't. Swanky, yeah, and Andy really is in a lose situation. Swanky goes on to say that throw was beautiful. Threw it on the line, says Tony. And Nick says Justin Fields is every bit the prodigy that Trevor Lawrence is. So why are the Bears treating him with kid gloves? That's I think the answer to that, Nick, is pretty obvious. They're following the Patrick Mahomes model in Kansas City, and I think that's stupid. I really do. There's no telling what Patrick Mahomes could have done in his rookie season if he was allowed to play. If Andy Smith would have gotten injured in game 1 and they would have thrown in Patrick Mahomes and who would have played the rest of that 16-game regular season, who knows? Maybe he throws 30 touchdown passes with 10 interceptions. Maybe he has that kind of season. Maybe, he would have had those kinks to his game, but I don't. I've heard Kansas City Chiefs players. I think it was Travis Kelce say that he thinks that Mahomes would have played well if Andy Smith was not there for his rookie season. So, and Stephen brings up the Matt Flynn, Russell Wilson. You're absolutely right, Stephen. I went back and did some research on this. John Schneider, the general manager of the Seahawks at the time, signed Matt Flynn. Matt Flynn had that, and Schneider knew Matt Flynn from his days at Green Bay. And Flynn had that one game where he played that last regular season game when they arrested Aaron Rodgers, and Flynn threw 6 touchdown passes. And all of a sudden people are saying, wow, this guy's going to get a big fat contract. And he got a nice contract from the Seahawks. But when they drafted Russell Wilson in round 3, Schneider said it was going to be a competition. Him and Pete Carroll says it's going to be a competition, not only between those two quarterbacks, but also Tavares Jackson was the third string quarterback. And before the last preseason game, Russell Wilson had already won the job. And in fact, some people said that he won it the first day in practice. He looked so outstanding. And so that to me is the right way to hold this quarterback battle. Have some trust in your draft pick. the eyes don't lie here. And I understand that Matt Nagy wants to, nurture the young guy, protect him from some mistakes and so forth. He might also be, hoping that the offensive line gets to be cohesive and get some time together before he throws them out there. That I can understand. That if he's thinking, the offensive line is really not going to start to gel until week 2, 3, 4, then we throw Justin Fields in there. If he's thinking that, I can sort of see that. But Stephen, you're right. The whole Russell Wilson, Matt Flynn thing is a very good point. Ravi says, how about Kmet helping chip next to Ifedi? That might help curb the pass rush a little bit. Yeah, one of the things that Cole Kmet does pretty well is pass block. And he's still, not as good as he will be. But, yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of 2 tight end sets. Once Jimmy Graham gets back into that regular lineup, you're going to see Kmet and Jimmy Graham out there together, and you're going to see those guys in certain pass plays. You're going to see max protection, which is the 2 tight ends are blocking the pass rush, helping the 5 offensive linemen, whatever is necessary to give the quarterback some time. You're definitely going to see that. And I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a lot of fullback formations against the Rams, because Aaron Donald, he's going to collapse that pocket. So if you've got that fullback that's going to head straight to Aaron Donald and bash him in the chest, that's going to really help with protecting Dalton and Fields. 4,000 Clovers, I think it's more about Nagy's ego. Nobody's going to tell him he's the obvious. Yeah, it's been a situation where it's become clear to 90% of Chicago Bears fans that when you're dealing with Matt Nagy, you're dealing with a guy with a huge ego. He wants to succeed on his terms, not necessarily the terms of the talent around him. Did you guys see that halftime feature with Matt Nagy? They had a wireless microphone on him during practice, and one of the first things he did at practice was tell one of the Bears assistants what music should be played on a 7-on-7. And I'm thinking to myself, why? Why are you even thinking about that? You should be thinking about teaching guys and schemes and so forth. And then the other thing that bugged me was he was looking at that big Denny's menu play sheet for like forever, it seemed, on a couple of times when they caught him on the sideline. I just don't like the fact that he calls the plays, and Bill Lazor might be doing it pretty soon. We'll see. Look at who just joined us. Let me read this one from Swanky first. Let's not forget Justin is the long-term deal here. They want to make sure the time is right for him. Would you risk 1 year of being bad to be really good for the next 15? That is an excellent question. Let's have this man here answer it. His name is Tyler Ellis. He's also known as the Gaines Report. How are you, brother? Look at this guy flexing, looking like he just got out of the gym. How are you, man? Oh, your audio is muted. I believe you're muted. I still can't hear you. No, let me see if it's on my end here. Edit mic settings. Yeah, it says you're muted on your end. Could be your computer. Check it out, and I'll read some more of these comments. Swanky says, it's so nice not listening to you constant negativity. I think I know what you're talking about, Swanky. Ravi, it felt good knowing Russ was the real deal, following him since NC State. Yeah, when he went to Wisconsin, there were a lot of people up in Wisconsin who were dubious about, who is this kid? What's he going to do? And so forth. He changed minds quickly over there. It's pretty incredible. PJ says that Sam Mustipher has been bad recently. PJ, I don't know. I'm not seeing it. I don't think he's been that bad. I mean, he hasn't been great. I'll tell you this, and he does get he does have problems against physical defensive linemen because he's not as strong as some other centers. But I still think he's an excellent tactician. He's the smartest offensive lineman on the team, which is one of the reasons he's the center because he calls all of these alignments at the line of scrimmage. I'll go back and look at tape, and if you join us for the Dan Aldo show Tuesday, as you usually do, we'll talk about that. I'll point out some stuff on tape because you can't look at all 22 guys on during a broadcast, right? One of the Chicago Bears scouts says that if you saw everything during a game, he tells his scouts this. If you saw everything during a game, then you saw nothing. So what he usually does, and I actually did this with Draft Dr. Phil when Phil was in town 2-3 years ago to attend the Bears-Bucks game. And Phil would say to me, okay, you look at the offensive line, I'll look at this. And then he told the third person we were with, you look at this, and that's what scouts usually do. You can't see all 22. So I'll go back and look at some tape, and then we'll talk about it, PJ, on Tuesday's Dan and Aldo show. Tyler's still working on his audio. We'll see if we can get him back. Let's see what Chubbs has to say. Aldo, did you? No, what did he say? Did you want to say I must have after the game at the press conference? Even he knew he was bad. No, I did not see that. Did not get a chance to see any of the press conference stuff. I was actually trying to grab some video from it, and I wasn't able to for some technological reason. But I do have. I think I can do this. Share my screen, and may not need to do that because I think Tyler is back and ready to rock and roll. There he is.
Mic check 2 1 2.
Outstanding.
Mic check.
So, what'd you think about this game, man?
Is Nick Foles starting week 1?
Yeah, we've been talking about that. He should be above Andy Dalton in the depth chart, but Justin Fields should be number 1.
Facts. I mean, when Matt Nagy, when you put the Y's together, the Y's make us understand the W's, and the W's make us understand, and we're just going to see where we're at.
Yes, exactly. A lot of people in the chat room are, making their case for Justin Fields to be the starter against the Rams. Obviously, that's not going to happen. Matt Nagy, after the game, reiterated that it's going to be Dalton. But what did you see out of Justin Fields today that makes you feel like we're going to be in good hands as soon as this guy gets back in there?
What I saw, and first of all, shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us this evening. This is so dope. It's a pleasure to share our opinions with you all. But what I saw in Justin Fields we didn't have a lot of yards the first half, and so I saw our franchise QB be able to handle adversity because the game is 60 minutes. You can be bad in the first and the second, but if you come through clutch, Aaron Rodgers done it plenty of times. And so for Justin Fields to even just like in the second half when he started to just understand and step up a gap with his legs and plant and be able to throw, get the first downs, get some completions. We were getting like no first downs. The Titans defense hasn't given up a touchdown from an offense like almost all preseason. So for the fact for Justin to come in there under duress and make a Superman play like that, you just wish it counted for real.
Yeah. Chubbs says that the locker room believes it's Justin Fields. I mean, just read some of the comments that they say about him. Yeah, everyone is so effusive in their praise of Justin Fields. They know he's going to be special. Allen Robinson, he was interviewed on the sidelines during the course of the game. Everyone knows that eventually it's going to be Justin Fields. The thing is, can Andy Dalton go out there week 1 against the Rams and at least manage the game? And hopefully we get an outstanding defensive performance, hold the Rams down to a couple of touchdowns, and we figure out a way to get 3 touchdowns and win that game. The thing is, Andy is the guy. So we just got to hope and pray that he's the guy.
That's a fact. And so I'm with Bears Nation. We got a new shiny toy. Everybody wants to drive it. You got a new Mercedes, and your parents tell you, no, drive the old car. You're like, why?
That's right.
But the fact of the matter is, we have to guys, we've been in QB trauma for so long, and we're right there. It's okay because Justin watching Andy isn't gonna hurt Justin. Justin is our quarterback for the next 10 years. Justin Fields, it will be unforeseen for him to go to be somewhere else. Like we finally got a quarterback. So at the end of the day, if he's gonna learn from the good that Andy does and the bad that Andy does. If Andy could win some games, that's like best case scenario. But team, fellas, barroom, hey, yo, it's okay. It's okay because at the end of the day, it's all gonna help Justin get some nice mental reps. I know we talk about mental, but at the end of the day, it's okay.
I played this earlier in the show. I'm going to play it again because I want to hear you gush over this touchdown pass by Justin Fields to Horsted. It's just a thing of beauty. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh. Bang, 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 bang. That's what I said. I said, bang, bang. Aldo, he was on the run, bro. Yep. First of all, he was on the run, and he like it's the velocity of the ball as you're looking. Like that's a freaking rookie. That's not a playoff NFL quarterback yet. For him to make that pass, he doesn't know if he's gonna get smacked. This is a quarterback who took a vicious hit, took a hard hit. This is a guy who's just at Ohio State. What did he do when he got knocked in his ribs? Came back to the playoff, came back to a touchdown pass. This is a guy who was getting shut down pretty much most of the game. I mean, I don't want to say shut down, but for him to have to escape the pocket, a moving target in traffic. He wasn't wide open.
That's right.
He wasn't wide open. I mean, we're talking about pinpoint accuracy, brother.
I heard a little bit of Justin Fields' post-game press conference, and he said that he knew that it was a risky throw, but he knew the situation in the game. He knew the score. He knew the alignments. He knew everything, and he said, "This is a good risk for me to take." And I threw it at a place where only Jesper can get it, and it just shows his maturity, his game smarts. It was really super impressive, man.
How many times, Aldo, back in the day, did we used to be mad at either pick one, Kyle Orton, pick any of them, and you like just throw it up, give the receiver a chance, give the receiver a chance,
right.
And so like look how far we've come. And that's why I'm like, we just got to slow down and be appreciative of it's coming. Because not only did he like think to make the play, he made the play. And we can, and I believe you tweeted it out. We got to give our brother Hosser some love.
Yep.
I mean, the focus on all those catches in traffic.
This kid, Jesper Horsted, when he first was signed as an undrafted free agent, we had the opportunity to interview him at the bar room, and just super smart. Of course, he went to Princeton, played baseball, was a receiver at Princeton, so he was a great athlete to begin with. And then we saw him. Greg Braggs and I went to a Eddie Jackson charity softball match, and we got to talk to him there and see him play softball. He was banging the ball over the fence. He was incredible. And again, just to talk about his athleticism, here's that one-handed catch from Nick Foles. Just outstanding. Look at that. That's just gorgeous, man.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I mean, that's, he has to be on the 53-man roster. And that tight end room is pretty loaded. Jimmy Graham, Cole Kmet. I would put Jesper Horsted as a number 3. At 4, Jesse James. He's had an outstanding preseason. I think those are the 4 tight ends you go with this season.
Totally.
JP Holtz is not going to make the team, in my opinion.
I mean, I feel better about it now, you saying that, because when I hear Matt Nagy talk, he talks in riddles. And it's like he enjoys keeping us guessing, like, well, we're gonna see. And so yes, he should be on a 53-man roster, because he's been making plays on like back-to-back preseason years. I mean, even when he's making these little flash plays. But when he broke that down, I love he's a student of the game. He said he's been playing man coverage on me all night. And then the pass was a little bit in front of me. And I knew, so he used his body as separation and to put his hand out. And it just shows like he's a smart football player. Yep. But Aldo, he said, when the ball's in the air, everything in my being wants the ball. I'm like, damn, we got a football player. He wasn't reading the script. He was like passionate about, no, I gotta get it.
Right. Ravi makes a good point here that he runs like a wide receiver, but he reminds Ravi of primetime Trey Burton. When Trey Burton was playing his best football that last season or two that he was with the Eagles and his first season with the Bears before he had that mysterious element that kept him out of the playoff game, Trey Burton was a 60 catch a year tight end, and a really not the main tight end, not the guy who's your Travis Kelce, not the number one tight end. I think Cole Kmet is that, and then once Jimmy Graham leaves, I think that Horsted could be your second tight end. I really do believe he's a nice building block, and I would not put him on waivers and try to stash him onto the practice squad again because he's practice squad eligible, but I don't think he'll make it. I think some team looking for a pass catching tight end is going to say that kid Horsted from Princeton, if he's available, pick him up. So I wouldn't mess around. Put him on the roster, man.
Especially now, I mean, Bleacher Report got that footage, so everybody's going to see it. So
right.
he's no longer a secret, but he was cut up, and honestly, it's Trey Burton. Like, it's hard because like he did a magical thing in the Super Bowl, so it's hard to compete against that. But when you talk about gameplay, I see bigger things from this kid right here because Trey Burton towards the end, all you saw was really like a three and out drag route or whatever it was,
right? And
it was just like that's boring. This kid, like you said, running like a wide receiver, he is cut. After his interview, I'm like, yo, what's his body fat percentage? I think he might be like a 9%, 10% body fat. And then he just looks like a baller. He looks like somebody that's off the script, somebody who has personality. And I'm like, ooh, but you never know. You never know what Matt Nagy is.
You ain't kidding. All right. Another pleasant, I wouldn't say surprise, but another pleasant play in the game today was the interception run back by a touchdown by Trey Roberson, who a lot of people have forgotten, but this guy was a star at the Canadian Football League, and he came here a year ago, unfortunately got injured, but man, oh man, I think he's ready to contribute with this team. What do you think?
I mean, when you talk about taking advantage of your opportunities, I mean, that's what it was. I mean, we got pressure. The pressure is like you hit or miss with the blitz. You hit or miss with pressure. You're either going to get it or it's going to burn you. We saw we got burned later on. But when the ball's in the air, that's like a defensive dream. I know we're going to go to Danny Trevathan's interception, but it's like that's when you like see ball, get ball. Phenomenal play. I love freaking pick sixes. That's like, that's better than intercourse.
To some.
But like as a defensive, like you're like, yo, that's what you do it for. And for all this bucket talk, like how many off seasons do we hear like all this propaganda about stuff, and to see what Sean everybody's saying about the bucket and to see it take place in the game, that was special.
That was really special. A lot of people in the chat, like PJ and 4,000 Clovers, are saying on that touchdown play, it was Travis Gibson, last year's, I think, 5th round draft pick, who put the pressure on the on getting to the quarterback from behind that caused the interception. And they are absolutely right. Gibson had a really, really good game. This guy is going to be a player, number 99 here. He's just somebody that I really liked him when he came out of college. I believe it was Tulsa that he went to, and he just he was a sack guy at college, and I was expecting to see that in his rookie year, but circumstances being what they were, he needed kind of a red shirt year. He did play some. He played some special teams and stuff and got into action one game late in the season, but I think he's ready to go. He spent the offseason, Tyler, like what you do every day, hitting the weights and getting in phenomenal shape. He's ready to contribute, man.
Yeah, I saw him in our press conference. I was like, oh my God, that's like this let him hit somebody. And shout out to 4,000 Clovers, man. I love those guys.
Yeah, they're the best.
But on the contrary, this is what a complete defense looks like. No, Gibson did not cause the interception. He caused the pressure. And this is football. Worst case scenario, it's an incomplete pass. But when everybody's operating as a cohesive unit, you put points. Not only do you get the incompletion, you save your offense who's not doing anything, and you put points on the board. We had less than 100 yards, I believe, the first half. And so like that score was like that was like life to us, period. And so, but once again, that's this complete defense. But that goes back to our new defensive coordinator, putting people in a position to be successful.
Right. Clovis is asking if we've heard about the trade rumor of Akeem Hicks for Odell Beckham Jr.
That's silly. That's silly.
I don't even think it's real, to be honest with you, Tyler. I think this is a reporter who kind of speculated that, threw it out there, and it got social media steam. But I don't really even see that happening. I don't think the Bears would disrespect Allen Robinson by picking up Odell Beckham's huge contract and basically tell Allen Robinson, yeah, you're going to just sit out the season and play on this. No, I don't think they would do that.
Oh, he's not on my team, so I don't follow him too much. But isn't he coming off an injury?
Yes, that's the other thing.
Okay, so he's coming off an injury, stupid, silly contract. The Browns have 9 brand new defensive starters. We're set. You take Akeem Hicks out the way, they're gonna run down our throats again. No, thank you. Yep. Like, what are we talking about?
Exactly. Hey, let's take a look at some of the stats from the game, individual stats. These are the Bears stats. Nick Foles had a good game, 10 out of 13, 142, throws for 2 touchdown passes, both of those to Horsted, was not sacked, so he had an outstanding QB rating. Now, again, remember, this is he was playing against guys, many of whom will not be in the NFL on August 31st after 3 p.m. Eastern time. Justin Fields, 7 out of 10, 54 yards. Prior to that last couple of minutes of the first half, I was like worried. I was thinking to myself, man, I hope they give him another series or two in the third quarter, because he just never got a chance to get going, get rhythm. And thankfully, he took that 2-minute drill and he just made it outstanding. And then look at those numbers for Jesper Horsted: 5 catches, 104 yards, 3 touchdowns. He caught everything that was thrown at him. It was pretty sensational. And then Daz Newsome had a nice catch for 19 yards. That I think I actually have the replay on that one, because this is a kid here who has his development was hindered a little bit because of a injury in camp. Like, he broke his collarbone like the first week of camp. But here he is. He just catches a little kind of wide receiver screen, makes a great move, and look at this guy. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was speed. That's some good speed. That's some really good speed.
Him and Darnell Mooney together with A-Rob, that could be really special.
Right.
So anything about these stats that interests you? Riley Ridley caught 2 catches on the two targets. So that was good to see. Oh, what about this new signee that they got, Isaiah Coulter? He had 2 receptions on three. They just picked him up like about 2-3 days ago. And he looks like somebody who could be a guy to keep an eye on. I bet you Coulter is going to make the practice squad. This year, Tyler, the practice squad is 16 guys. It's usually, I think, 9 guys. So they've increased it because of COVID to 16. I think they should always leave it at 16. I mean, you need 16 guys to practice with.
Right.
So, it doesn't make any sense to me. So I think this Coulter kid might make the team in the practice squad.
It's definitely edifies the leadership of the position coaches, in my opinion, because when you said those stats, when you look at the tight end group being consistent, no matter who the quarterback is, anybody is like, it's one thing if you're being force fed, but we're talking about different quarterbacks and still getting productivity. That speaks volumes on the position coaches. And so one thing that falls back when I get frustrated with my coach is when I see lack of consistency and getting into a rhythm. And then when I look at the Titans, Derrick Henry's not in the game, but they're still getting 8 yards, 7 yards a carry because it's the system. And so those are those things that I'm looking for. But when you talk about a guy coming off the street and catching the ball because he's doing his individual drills in practice,
right?
See ball, get ball, do your job. But in terms of like, why can't we move? Why can't we run the ball? I like our new 24.
Yeah.
I like our new 24. I'm like, is that Jordan Howard? Just faster and younger?
Khalil Herbert. Yeah, he did drop a pass, as Robbie points out. But yeah, this guy looks like he's going to be a contributor for the Bears. He's definitely going to be returning punts until Tariq Cohen gets back. And Danny, on a show that we did this past week, talked about how this guy has good hands. So that drop pass is something that you're not going to see often. I got the feeling because he was kind of wide open, he caught the pass. He's already thinking about running without securing the ball. That's when he dropped that pass. But yeah, Khalil Herbert is a nice pickup for the Bears. Another one of those mid-round draft picks that the Bears are really good at hitting on. Over on the defense, let's take a look at some of those stats there. Christian Jones had 11 tackles, but I don't think he played that well. I thought that he got beat on a few plays. I think he's on the roster bubble. And then Josh Woods, that first series that he was out there, the center was blowing him away. But then after that, Josh played really well. Came up with 11 tackles. Two of those tackles were for a loss. So he's going to be an interesting guy. He's going to be a guy who is going to be battling for a roster spot. I got a feeling that he probably will make the team because he's a special teams ace. Any thoughts on Josh Woods?
I'm a University of Maryland guy. He's a tackler, and at the end of the day, that's at least you can have a job on special teams. Yep. Like we saw how we did not do good on punt coverage and things like that in the first preseason game, and so these guys are tacklers. Christian Jones, these guys are tacklers at the end of the day. And Christian Jones, he's a big guy. He's a space filler. Yep. But the thing about being big, Danny did it earlier. If you take the wrong angle, it really doesn't matter. And that's what happened. They were getting washed. And that's why those lanes were open. And it seemed like they can go D gap or C gap. If the blocks were there, they were just getting washed. And so it all comes back to angles. I do like Josh Woods. And I do like Christian Jones. These are some quality depth guys that I feel like can tackle. Worst case scenario, I feel like these guys are good at gang tackling, if anything else. They may not be the solo guy, but I feel like, first of all, if Christian Jones gets a square hit, it may be a fumble because I feel like he's that massive. But once again, it comes back to agility. But I just want our linebackers to just contain and not give up those big plays.
Now, there's some debate in the chat room. Like, for instance, Bear Truth is saying that Trevathan looked old despite the interception, but other people, including myself, were impressed with the way Danny Trevathan played. What do you think?
Well, one, respectfully, he is older.
Yeah, that's right.
So he's not 25 anymore. He's a Super Bowl champion. Let's remember that. And so he made up for it. I mean, that interception was golden. Yep. I mean, he floated in the air for a little bit, and like he could torque his body like Derrick Rose, and so like that was just like phenomenal. And then, but it's his leadership, knowing where people are supposed to be. He is old. He doesn't have the same lateral speed anymore. Right. I like Danny. I'm gonna roll with Danny until the wheels fall off. Because he's just a fighter to me. I believe he did some boxing things over this offseason. Yep. And so don't send him back deep in coverage. Just don't do that again that much. And I think we'll be all right. And so at the end of the day, you got to remember he's next to Roquan. And so it's not about just like it's the by association we are great. And so
there you go. Very well put. I think Danny Trevathan is already ahead of where he was at the beginning of last year. It was clear that when he showed up last season, probably because of COVID, he wasn't in the best of shape. And so those first 4 or 5 games, he just did not look good. But as the season went on, he played well. And there's a lot, like you were saying, there's a lot to be said for being experienced. And as long as his body holds up, like you said, he's not going to run a 4.4 40, but his wisdom, his play knowledge, the way he can break things down is outstanding. In fact, I think I got another one here that let me see if I can find it real quick. There was another play.
He had a beautiful tackle for a loss.
Yes, he and also take a look at this play here. he is alongside Christian Jones, and he tells Christian Jones, grab this guy and I'll grab that guy, and he breaks up a pass. Now it's coming up right now. Here's Danny on this play. Number 59 is Danny Trevathan. You see how he points to Christian Jones saying, take that guy, I'll take this guy.
Yeah.
Break up the pass. Just well done. And that's the smart Danny Trevathan brings, man.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't coach that. You can't coach that. And that's what you want on the field. And this is our window, Bears Nation. We're in our window. We're like, I'm still in that mindset, Aldo. We have Khalil Mack in his prime. Mm-hmm. I believe this is our playoff run window, that we have a top generational talent from a pass rushing perspective. And so having a Danny Trevathan and a Roquan Smith in there and Robert Quinn, I feel like this might be his bounce back year. I mean, he's definitely like you talked about his mindset and everything being in a good place. And so if I'm going to try it tonight, get excited.
I love it when you get excited.
Yeah. But
I like Ravi's comment here that Danny T has been a great influence on Roquan, and I think that's important. You know, those two guys are Batman and Robin, with of course Roquan being Batman. He's a superhero, and Danny Trevathan is a really good asset for Roquan to have this season. I would hate to see that broken up. Now, the fact that Alec Ogletree didn't play today tells me that he is probably going to be number 3 on that depth chart of inside linebackers, and that Joel Iyiegbuniwe, who has not had a very good preseason so far, he actually came to play today, but again, he made plays against third stringers. Where was he in the first half against Buffalo when he was being blown away? So, man, these coaches have some tough decisions about who to keep and who to let go. They might be saying goodbye to some guys that they trust on special teams, but other guys have outplayed them on the field. Those are tough decisions, man.
Very tough. I feel like, didn't Joe come in the same year as Roquan?
Yes.
I believe he came in the same year, and he's a super hard hitter, but I feel like he shows up. I mean, it happens to all of us. It's always when when everything's on the line. When it's like, but the coaches, we're looking, if we're trying to be, what's the goal here? Are we trying to go for Super Bowl, or do we want to be liked? Like, if we want to be a Super Bowl team, then we gotta be Belichick out here. You know what I'm saying? We gotta be Belichick. Like, yo, do your job all the dang time.
I love that. Ravi says, I think I'm going to buy a Roquan jersey. Dude is just a worker. I'm going to tell you to hesitate on that, Ravi, because his contract is up after this season. So you don't want to buy a Roquan Chicago Bears jersey and he's playing for some other team next season. I always tell my friends that those jerseys are $150 a pop. PJ says that you are such a true believer, Tyler. PJ has got to go because of the secondary and the offense. And, you know, you're being a realist, PJ. You got to see it before you can believe it. But I did see some good signs. But it all starts with that offensive line. It all starts. Now, Jason Peters started at left tackle, and after the game, Matt Nagy said he's going to be the left tackle week 1 against the Rams. He's got the job. I was not super impressed with his play. One of the things that I noticed when I looked at tape from last season when he was with the Eagles is that he's good at the line of scrimmage and he's good at pass protection, but getting out into the second level to block a linebacker on run plays or sweeping out, man, he moves like a 39-year-old who's carrying 340 pounds, you know, and he's just not that good, but he's the best we got.
And that's all you can ask. And that's why the quarterbacks got to be willing to step up. And our interior line, we're getting some somewhat consistency, and Josh Daniels and those guys being back and everything. And so as long as our quarterbacks can step up gap, I keep forgetting it's not just a field starting. But but I'm rooting for Andy. At the end of the day, he's a Chicago Bear. And if Andy comes out week 1 and throws 3 touchdowns, nobody should be upset about it. And so at the end of the day, Justin will start. Let's just cheer for Andy, yo, because at the end of the day, if Andy wins the Super Bowl, like it's all good. We're all on the same damn team. Excuse my language.
Hey, I want to ask you about the Chicago Bulls because in
Oh.
Bulls 101 is going to take over our airwaves here, and they're going to talk about all the latest moves. I know you're super psyched up about this new edition of the Chicago Bulls and what AK and Eversley have done to revamp this roster. Your thoughts? And again, I'll let people know that Tyler and his two brothers are the hosts of C Red Radio, which will be starting in a few weeks on Thursdays at 6 p.m. These guys know their basketball. They have such great passion for the Chicago Bulls. Tyler, your thoughts on the Bulls?
I cannot believe our front office. I went to sleep last night in my bull socks. I meant to tweet it, but I was just so happy to win. I found my bull socks and I put them up. I was like, my front office is just like making these moves. I just can't believe it. And so cool. I'm excited to see it come together. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we got to build chemistry. But the Chicago Bulls will be a top 5 seed in the Eastern Conference next year.
I agree.
Without shadow of a doubt. Honestly, I want to say top 3. Yep. Obviously, it has to come together, has to materialize. I like the depth at the center position, but I feel like we got scorers. Defensively, there may be some question marks, but at the end of the day, if they want it bad enough, we got the right coach. We got the right leadership. I'm really excited to hear what the guys Bulls on 101 got to say about it. But it's good. It's different. Like maybe hopefully it rubs off on the Bears. I think so. But what our front office, the Bulls front office has done to get these quality players together, it's really going to be a joy. I mean, me and my brother, I like basketball. We like basketball. Like I want to watch good basketball. So it's like, yes, it's my team, but I want to see good pass and transition. I want to see switching on defense, like calling out the stuff, like just play good basketball. And so these guys can play.
Yep.
DeRozan, are you serious? Is the Chicago Bull? Are you serious? Are you serious?
Swanky,
Zach in his prime? Like, come on.
Frankie asked if you like Lonzo.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Yes. 1,000% yes. Yeah. Yes, I do. Because
that's the guy who. Go ahead, please.
No, obviously I wanted Derrick Rose. Obviously, I wanted Derrick Rose to come back and be. Even I still wanted him, but we got the other veteran, Caruso from the Lakers. But no, I do love ball because at the end of the day, it brings marketability to the city. And at the end of the day, next year free agency, it's like I'm always like a GM. Put your GM hat on. The ball name brand is going to bring more even TV money to the Bulls, if that's even a thing. I feel like somebody who can facilitate, because Zach doesn't have to do everything. We want to keep Zach soft tissue injury free. And at the end of the day, ball can create on his own. I'm excited to see it all come together. We got man Vuk, who is still top 3 on the pick and roll.
And then the draft pick, the kid from Illinois, Ayu Dusumuno. I think I pronounced that correctly, but who knows? PJ says he's not a Bulls fan. He's sorry, but you know what, PJ, you're allowed. At least you're a a Barroom Network fan, and we appreciate you very much. Tyler, anything else you want to promote, talk about? Anything regarding the gains report that you want to share with people?
Oh yeah, for sure. Perspective of gains. That'll be debuting again for the second show again. Shout out to my brother in arms, Joe Mandel, on Fantasy Football Goon. We're talking about faith, entrepreneurship, gains in every aspect of life, meditation, spirituality, and so we come together. We don't operate with a victim mentality. We put ourselves in a position to be successful in every aspect of life. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, we go together. And so outside of that, that's the Barroom Network. It's not just about sports. We cover sports, but it's sports that brings us together. So at that point, we have common ground to go to higher ground because everybody's dealing with life. And outside of that, when we heal those things, and if we touch on those things that go untreated, we can have preventative maintenance. It's all about improving our quality of life. I'm not special. I'm blessed to be around awesome people like Aldo. I'm blessed to be around people tomorrow morning. Bar Flight Tailgate Show. The guys are back.
That's right.
You got AC, KB, my man, Bobby Boom. And so outside of that, Aldo, I can't believe it's been an hour already. I was like, where's my man John Buffone at? Because that's right. What I really want.
We've got a great show with Tyler and John debating each other called The Bear Debate, and that's a new show this week. And then Tyler, John, and myself will be on immediately after every Chicago Bears game, all 17 regular season games, all of the postseason games. Immediately afterwards, we'll be talking football here. And I just put up Tyler's Twitter handle at The Gaines Report. If you need any kind of help in terms of spirituality, in terms of advice on life, you need somebody to help pick you up on something, you need to follow at The Gaines Report on Twitter. This guy will help you with whatever problem you have. Reach out to him on DM. Whatever you need to do, Tyler's here to help you in a way that he's helped me. Came over to my house, and when he left, I was like, my life has changed. The whole Barroom Network changed as a result of the advice that Tyler gave me and what direction we should take this network. So he's really a special guy and my good friend. Tyler, man, it's great to talk football with you, and we're going to be doing a lot more of it in the next few weeks.
Yes, we are. The Barroom Network is shooting to the top. We're impacting people in all different countries, from the motherland to DC. And so it's just getting started, baby. Week 1. Let's go.
Swanky, he'll get to your question the next time we're on. We have got to go and make room for Bulls 101. Stay tuned. They'll be on in about a minute here. Take care, everyone.